Hey everybody, what up? So in this video, I'm talking about this. Everybody's talking about now the AI video creation, and honestly, I think it's pretty cool. I looked at it, and it seems like a lot of this came about with ChatGPT's new product called Sora from OpenAI. I say ChatGPT, but OpenAI, and you can create a bunch of different like videos now from just AI. So you give it like some text input, and you get a video generated, and I mean honestly, that seems pretty cool. But I'm wondering, like, it's like we're definitely headed into a world where you're probably not going to need as many content creators when it comes to like, especially when this thing starts doing like 3D modeling for video games, and if it starts doing animation with 3D modeling, which it's already starting to do a little bit. But there is something missing when it comes to like the actual finished product, and I suspect that Sora is going to run into the same thing when you're just giving text generation on something that you want to create. There's way too much freedom being applied to the AI engine, and I feel like the output that you're getting is not like actually what you're expecting, or it's just not as good as some of these highlighted features here. And I'll give an example of that. But I was using this in video AI, which came out towards the fall of last year, and like, some people are talking about it, and it seemed really cool. I ended up, just getting a quick monthly subscription to try it out. But you can see, like, behind the scenes, it's using all these different products like iStock and Stutterstock and or Stutterstock. But basically, it's like using all these images that you can buy from these products, and it is creating a video for you with what it thinks that you want. And I think that's where the disconnect is. And I feel like we're definitely going to be headed towards a world where when AI starts taking over more and more, you're definitely going to need to have like these people that are going to, your job is going to be like feeding the AI engine, right? We're already starting to see that. They call them like input engineers or something like that, or prompt engineers. Which, let's be honest, like the word engineer is so overused. Like we've basically taken over the word engineer. Like you used to have like electrical engineers and structural engineers, like people that really like had to watch out what they're doing. And then you give like a 3-year developer the title of like senior software engineer or senior architect or prestigious programmer or hero person. It's all like pretty crazy. But anyway, we have prompt engineers now. So they're engineering text in a text box to tell the AI what to do. So I guess like make a video about a YouTuber complaining about AI, right? This isn't much of a description, but like the thing is that you can put only up to like 3,000 characters in there. And even when you are very, very explicit with your instructions, it still sort of lacks. And that's part of the reason I'm making this video is actually just like we still have something very much missing from like the outputted product from AI. So once like there's definitely a disconnect between the text that you're inputting, even if you're as specific as possible, and then what the AI is going to create, and then trying to have to figure out how to get that process ironed out is like something that's going to be time consuming and definitely frustrating and also expensive, especially when you have a product like this. And I'm assuming that Sora is going to be similar, but it's using stuff from iStock, and none of this stuff is cheap. All this is actually owned by Getty Images, and you pay pretty much top dollar for anything like on iStock photography or any of these other products, which I think might even be owned by the same company. I do know that iStock is owned by Getty. Here's the website, so you can see Getty Images. They're like the big time. They basically own all the images in the world, it seems like, and they sue people all the time if you use their stuff. So that said, it's using stuff from those products, right? So I'm sure they have some sort of decent corporate deal. But if they're only charging $60 a month for the top level access for this particular product, I can't imagine that that's going to be sustainable long term. It's probably costing them a fortune out of the box to try to get people on board, and then they'll raise the prices at that point. And I would imagine drastically, because iStock photography is like $60 for one image. And honestly, there's always like these stipulations too. Like, are you going to use that image in something that you resell? Because if you are, then you're going to pay way more than that. You need like full ownership of that product. Or are you just going to use it in a magazine or a website header or something like that, which is like $60 per image. Sometimes more, sometimes a little less. Now, one thing I did find quite impressive about this in-video AI is that you can provide, if you have clear audio, you can provide just a 30-second clip and it will actually use your voice. And, you know, while like, so I will give an example at the end of this video of a video that it creates, but like my video or my voice sounds pretty legit, but then there's all these like weird pauses, and then certain words are like completely misspoken or just not phrased well at all. And by the time like it came out with this end product, it was like, oh, that might have been halfway decent, to throw up as a video or something like that. But then you have all these like minor edits that you have to make, and then it threw background music into the video. So you have to be very careful to like say, hey, don't include background music, because if I have to sit there and splice out your audio because you messed up a bunch of things, then it also becomes impossible when you have background music playing. Another thing too is that people are getting this stuff flagged by copyright. So they think that they have copyright for this content that's being generated via AI, but it turns out that they're not. So like things like YouTube are flagging it for copyright infringement. All right, so keep in mind when I go ahead and play this example that it's using my voice. So it was a 30-second audio that is creating AI from it, which I think is probably the most impressive thing. But listen to the pauses and then just the unnatural like flow of the language. It's still quite obvious that it's just kind of boring, or just not me. And maybe I'm boring too, but it just definitely doesn't feel human. And then I would say the overall actual input, even when I was descriptive to a video, it was still this boring type of like content that like people are definitely going to throw on YouTube, but it's really not going to actually get anybody's attention. It's just going to be a bunch of spam clickbait stuff because it's just not interesting. So I really feel like even with this stuff, it's going to have a place. It's going to get better. But for right now, it's got a long way to go before it's like, oh, I can just use AI to start uploading all my videos on a YouTube channel and like replicate my work or whatever, no matter what YouTuber you are. Could artificial intelligence be the unseen saboteur in the journey of YouTube creators? The answer may not be as binary as a simple yes or no. Dive into the story of Alex, a once thriving YouTuber known for his dynamic cooking tutorials. A couple of years ago, his channel was gaining subscribers faster than a souffle rises in the oven. But then, something changed. The algorithm. The complex, AI-driven mechanism that decides who sees what on YouTube. Alex's videos, once a hot item on the YouTube buffet, suddenly seemed to be left in the cold. So yeah, I'll go ahead and provide another example of one that I think it did okay, and I still had to edit it. So anytime you're doing this, you're definitely not going to want background music in your videos, because you're going to have to splice out a lot of, a lot of audio that just doesn't make any sense or sounds completely terrible, or the pauses are too long. So all in all, I mean, it's a cool product, but I see no feasibility of like paying for it. It's not more important than like a Adobe Creative Cloud subscription where you get all the different Adobe products that you would probably need as a content creator, or even any sort of video or video game producer or anything like that. I mean, I think there will be a place for this stuff. You're going to, but really, like, a lot of what this is doing is just simply splicing together a bunch of stock photography videos that are already out there, like, and a human's going to do that better. So all in all, I got to say, like, it's cool. It's gimmicky. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose that I can see right now. And it's probably several years away from actually being much better than it is, or maybe it never gets any better than this. I don't know, but I'm sure it'll get better. I just think it's still far off from humans. And yeah, again, overall, it's like I just don't see any place for it right now. I don't need this product. It doesn't do anything for me. It's actually just going to detract and take time away from me. Imagine a programmer, let's call him Bob, who's been in the game since the days of floppy disks and dot matrix printers. Bob's a bit of a dinosaur, a relic of a bygone era, but he's not ready for the museum just yet. No, Bob's decided it's time to get hip with the kids. And by kids, we mean his much younger colleagues. One day, Bob walks into a meeting sporting a formal blazer over a Space Invaders tee, thinking he's nailed the casual tech startup look. But the only invader in that room is Bob's fashion sense, and it's a far cry from the planet of cool. Bob's not discouraged though. He's determined to fit in. So he decides to embrace the world of virtual reality. He starts using a VR headset for all his video calls. But instead of looking cutting edge, he ends up giving everyone motion sickness as he spins around, trying to figure out how to make the darn thing work. Not one to be deterred, Bob decides to up his game. He figures, what's more youthful than social media? So he jumps on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. But instead of trending, Bob's posts are more like a throwback to the era of dad jokes and outdated memes. He tags coworkers in posts that are as confusing as they are hilarious. And let's not forget the time he accidentally live-streamed a company meeting while trying to take a photo of his sandwich. In a bid to connect with his younger colleagues, Bob invites them to a LAN party, but the only LAN they're interested in is the one that connects them to the coffee machine. And when Bob tries to bond over classic video games and movies, he's met with blank stares. It turns out what's classic for Bob is ancient history for his co-workers. Bob even tries to skateboard to work and navigate the office on a scooter. The results are as hilarious as they are painful. But through all the mishaps and misunderstandings, Bob's spirit remains unbroken. At home, Bob's family responsibilities humorously clash with his attempts to stay relevant. He's constantly interrupted by parent-teacher conferences and his kids' activities. Even his TikTok videos are invaded by his children, who can't resist poking fun at their dad's attempts to be cool. But eventually, Bob comes to a realization. He might not be the trendiest coder on the block, but he's still a darn good programmer. He might not understand the latest slang, but he's fluent in the languages that matter: Python, JavaScript, and C++. He might not be the life of the LAN party, but he's the heart and soul of his family. And so Bob learns to embrace his age and his quirks. He learns that it's okay to be a bit of a dinosaur in a world that's always chasing the next big thing. After all, it's not about how young you are, but how young you feel. And in his heart, Bob's still that kid who fell in love with coding all those years ago. And there's nothing more timeless than that. If you're learning to code, I recommend you check out my website, codehawk.com. My courses are fast, to the point, without the fluff that you'll find on other competitor sites like Pluralsight and Udemy. One of the reasons why you'll want to learn with me is that I'm a self-taught engineer myself. I never went to school for any of this stuff. I've been doing it for over a decade now professionally. I've risen through the ranks from junior level developer all the way to director of engineering. And in addition to that, I'm also a YouTuber. The biggest reason you should use CodeHawk is that it's one price for everything. I try to make this as affordable as possible. Instead of having to purchase 15 to 20 different courses on Udemy or an expensive monthly subscription to Pluralsight, it's one price for everything on CodeHawk. My website has been around for several years. My company has been around for over a decade. Front end, back end, full stack. It has courses on all the latest web development technology. There's currently over 40 courses on CodeHawk, and I'm releasing more courses all the time. The courses range from beginner to advanced. So if you want to learn the latest web technology, give CodeHawk a look. There's demos for all of the courses that are out there right now. In addition, there's also my personal vlogs, which I'll be adding more to. So content that I don't release to YouTube is available on CodeHawk.